From the lush green lands to the cascading waterfalls, wonders of the world, the oldest habitat of territories on Earth, a rich cultural heritage, a continent of 1.1 billion people, second largest and most populous, a continent pregnant with possibilities, home to 30% of Earth's mineral resources, 50% of its people under 25 years. Africa, the land of the great. Our spirit resilient. Our enterprise profitable. Our future inspiring. Africa is inspiring. Be inspired.
There's so much pressure in society for women particularly to marry, but men too. So, if men are not married, they're looked on as not adult. But for women, it's also that for them it's very important to have children, and not having children could mean that your chances of securing some kind of economic stability are undermined in the society. And this pressure is partly responsible for women and men, when going into a marriage, not always necessarily finding a partner that's good for them, but someone who, if they're a bit older, is just willing to marry them, and this can also make it hard to leave the marriage if there are any problems in it. For men, it's usually not so much of an issue, because if things don't work out very well, men in many societies, most societies, don't really feel any inhibition about looking elsewhere. But it's harder for women to do that, not only because the society has double standards in terms of morality. Women are expected to uphold moral standards that men, for some reason, are not seen as having the same responsibility for. So for a woman who's in an abusive relationship is going to think about all sorts of things that a man wouldn't necessarily have to concern himself with, like whether she will be able to keep her children, if she has children. Where will she live? How will she be able to support herself? Because it's also true that women are often looking to marry or being forced to stay in a marriage because they have less access to money, to economic resources, to jobs that pay the same remuneration for doing the same kind of work. But beyond all that, there's also the question of what marriage means to a woman in terms of her sense of being a woman, and a man in terms of his sense of being a man. Because once they're married, men who feel, and there's a lot of pressure on men to feel that they must provide, they must be the provider for the family, and that if their wives earn more than them, then it suggests that they are not man enough, or that the woman might start feeling that she doesn't need to respect him. When things get difficult and a man feels insecure, as I said, in his sense of who he is as a man, that can make him predisposed to respond violently to anything he interprets as provocation. Provocation could be something as simple as not having food ready on the table. Domestic abuse, let's not forget, is predominantly a case of husbands beating up their wives. Although it's not the only case, and men are very quick to remind us that there are some women, a few, who beat up their husbands. These things would have to really change if the reduction, never mind elimination, of domestic violence were to become a reality.